Last year, I did a deep dive into the modality of EFT, which is called Emotional Freedom Technique. And this is where you tap on specific points of the body and start to integrate a new way of thinking. It's supposed to rewire your subconscious. I can't be the only person who felt like they had a lot of questions about this modality. I know I was seeing a lot of different videos and I was curious about the validity of this practice. I started noticing people claiming to be practitioners, they had studied, they had courses, but I didn't see a congruency with their tapping. And this might be just a way of, making a quick video that's trigger happy, makes people want to follow them, encourages or incites a certain amount of tension, of a desire for a result, which most people I would see post about money and creating a new way of thinking around money. And for me, I desired the same thing. But for me, I wanted to find some deep resolve. And EFT was something I hadn't practiced. I knew that rewiring the subconscious is very much so tied into the physical body. That's the somatic. And I knew that there was something deep in me that was playing on repeat in the background. And with my knowledge of the body, I understand that when it comes to somatics, when you have some type of trauma or stuck emotion, unresolved emotion, I like to call it stuck energy, that will create a polarity, a stress point. And until that stress point is neutralized, that will keep triggering you. And to me, now, triggers are just a signal that there's work that I need to do. And this year, since that happened, it's been an amazing transformative year because I not only did EFT, but I went through an energy healing program that I finished creating. I created a bunch of different courses, but the main one I was working with was clearing the energy systems of the aura and chakras. But I also was working with the meridians as well. And when it comes to EFT, there's something that I don't think many people talk about, which I find very important, and that is the history. I'm going to be reading from my notes because I want to get this as clear and concise as possible. So if I'm not looking at the screen, that is what's going on. And I want to talk about the root. Where was the origins of EFT? And it comes from the concept of traditional Chinese medicine. And traditional Chinese medicine is a style of healing that combines working with herbs and movement as well as acupuncture points that create channels, energy channels that help to balance the life force that lives within us. Because traditional Chinese medicine was formed from the concept of viewing nature, its dualistic energy, and how we have both a yin and yang. This is where that concept of yin and yang, that balance of light and dark, really came to the forefront. And it's something that you hear people talk about a lot, even if they've never practiced traditional Chinese medicine. And I know for myself, before I began my EFT practice, I was well versed in traditional Chinese medicine. It's something that I've studied on my own time. I've received acupuncture, many different styles. I've received Brazilian, Japanese, and Chinese. They're very different, and it's interesting to watch the different mind frames of the different styles. And some were more intense, some were more gentle, and it also just depended on the practitioner that you had as well. What I found when I received acupuncture is it released stagnant energy within my body. And I'm going to share more about that in a different video so you can get an idea of how this works with your body. But when it comes to traditional Chinese medicine, it's based around 12 meridians that are linked into different organs of the body, and they rule specific emotions. And whenever you undergo stress at any point in time, this can create blocks within your meridian channels. And if those blocks persist, this then creates a deficit, and your meridian system will start taking energy from different areas where just to create homeostasis. Your body is a natural machine for balance. So if something's off, if you're not aware of it, it'll course correct, which it may help momentarily, but for long term, those deficits are going to create big energetic disruptions that come to a head at some point. But from 1966 to 1988 was the rise of energy-based therapies. In the mid 20th century, Western psychologists began exploring the connection between emotion, the body, and energy. George Goodhart, chiropractor, developed applied kinesiology in the 1960s, linking muscle testing to acupuncture points. And this is something that I actually experienced firsthand while working with a chiropractor. And it was really interesting to see how he could scan my body and see where weaknesses were being created via disconnection of my spine, my spinal cord, and he would make adjustments in accordance to where my body was weak. It was a very cool experience, and my first introduction into a world of communicating with the body and how the body does want to respond to you. And I just had this experience when I was in high school because I was told I had scoliosis at 13. And God bless my mom, she was always very health conscious. And so she tried to do as much holistic modalities for me because I was also very sensitive and very allergic. And I believe I have a lot of theories around that, but it really had to follow suit that my mom is very sensitive and she's allergic to penicillin, just to give you a little picture, a preview to my sensitivities. So a lot of modern medicines have not worked for me personally. So I've had to seek other modalities to support me. Am I writing off Western medicine? Absolutely not. I believe that there's space for everything. I just know for myself it didn't work. So I had to look for things that did. I fully believe the body has amazing capacity and capabilities beyond anything that we've learned up until this point, but I believe we will continue to discover as we continue to merge these energy healing practices with Western medicine and sciences. I'm very excited what the future holds. Now, with that being said, let's get back to the breakdown of where EFT comes from. The late 1970s to the 1980s, Dr. Roger Callahan, a clinical psychologist, made a groundbreaking observation while working with a patient named Mary. I don't know if her name was truly Mary. That might be just something that they changed to protect said patient, which is very normal. Very, very normal. And who had an intense water phobia. During therapy, he asked her to tap under her eye, a known acupuncture point linked to the stomach meridian, which is connected to fear. And to his amazement, her lifelong phobia disappeared instantly. And from this discovery, Callahan developed thought therapy, TFT, a structured tapping technique that assigned specific tapping sequences, algorithms, to different emotions like anger, trauma, or fear. TFT was the first formalized system combining meridian stimulation with emotional focus. And when I went into deeper detail into this and study, I found that there were more points in this specific style and modality, and it was more extensive than EFT today. So it was one of those light bulb moments of seeing how EFT is this small fraction of a meridian system that has over 365 acupuncture points, and it comes from a therapy that had a different sequencing. It's completely different than EFT. And EFT was created by Gary Craig, a Stanford trained engineer and student of Callahan, who noticed that TFT's complex sequences could be simplified. He found that tapping all major meridian endpoints in a single sequence worked just as effectively. No need for individualized algorithms. In 1995, he introduced EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques, sharing it widely through free manuals, videos online. This simplicity, accessibility, and effectiveness helped EFT explode in popularity worldwide. What I discovered is when I went through these tappings, it was important that I really worked on addressing the fears, holding space for them, and then rewiring. Because what I noticed was when I did the EFT tapping, it was insanely triggering. And the reason for this is I have a few theories. The first one is I believe neurotypicals probably have a better experience with this than neurodivergents. Because I'm so sensitive and I'm probably more sensitive than most people. And I'm also a shaman and I'm just curious in nature when it comes to learning about the body and all of its um, different sequences. When I would do the EFT tapping, I could feel other points that were being triggered. Again, how I talked about when you, over a long periods of time, have deficiencies in your meridian channels, they'll start pulling from other channels. So, what I noticed was I was feeling other meridians. So, what I would do is I would log all the acupuncture points that were coming up, and then I would cleanse and clear those meridian channels. And I did this through the magnet therapy energy healing course that is available to anyone and everybody. It's based around cleansing and clearing the meridian system. Because when I was beginning to do my self care and I was really wanting to discover acupuncture through the form of acupressure, because in my massage school we studied acupressure, and doing a few different points and sequences, I was able to release my pain for 2 weeks. And I was doing massage, and it was more effective than any other massage technique that I had received. And we were getting massages twice a week. Like, we were so spoiled. But I'd had chronic pain my whole life. And it was one of those moments where I realized I'm like, I can be pain free and it can be pretty simple and easy. I just need to figure out the proper way in which to do it. And when I was doing my massage studies, my teacher pulled me aside one day. It was when I was PMSing, and I just had a big explosion. And as I've learned more and more about ADHD and PMS and how PMDD is an actual thing, I realized there's just so many things now I wish people had given me knowledge around, which is why I'm sharing all of this. Because had I worked with my energy systems, had I had something that was accessible and easy to use, I probably wouldn't have had half of the issues that I did, not only as a neurodivergent, but just as a woman in general. And just as someone with chronic pain, all of this stuff. It's just one of those things where it's like, I wish it was around, but in all honesty, it didn't exist. So I made something, and what I made was this energy healing course where you receive magnet pair therapy in correlation to all of the meridians. Because when I lived in LA, when I was really starting to go through my process of self care, because I was trying to avoid early onsets of Parkinson's, I started to experience them, and I knew I couldn't mess around with my wellness anymore. It was one of those moments where I'm like, do you want to walk or do you want to be bedridden? Because my grandpa had Parkinson's, and it was very hard on our family to watch him fall into a slow demise and have his body be a cage. And I knew the signs, I knew the symptoms, and they were happening to me. I couldn't speak. I was losing, my leg was dragging, I was tremoring, and I was like, oh my God, it's too early. And there are a lot of compounding factors into why. And I wanted to give myself the opportunity to figure it out before I went and sought out medical care for a number of different reasons. And having been a massage therapist at this point I'd already been doing massage maybe about 4 years. So I'd already started studying energy healing. I'd already taken a few different courses in Reiki, past life healing. I'd already done some shamanic courses. So I had an understanding of the body, and I wanted to dive deeper into acupuncture. And while I don't have traditional training, I did a lot of studying and I worked on my body. And what I found was when I did these basic acupuncture points of balancing, I wasn't getting the results that were spoken of. And I had learned about this process through a beautiful teacher named Donna Eden. I'm going to link her book below as one of the first energy healing books that I felt really called to get. And in this book, she shares a bunch of different modalities that she utilizes because she was able to reverse her MS. So, in my studies, I saw a lot of people, when addressing the energetics, were able to have really amazing results. And this opened up my curiosity. So, when I started practicing her way of doing stuff, it didn't work for me, and I also just wanted to learn about the flow of the channels, because in our massage school, we would do these energy healing techniques and flows with the meridians. And it really ties into Chinese medicine can be utilized not only through your diet, but also through movements of Tai Chi and Qigong. Qigong is something that's always been very inspiring to me, especially medical Qigong. And then there's acupuncture. So there's few ways that you can get resolve and work with your meridians, but acupressure is using your hands. And so I started massaging all of the acupuncture points for each meridian. What I found was I would run into blockages and I'd have to massage and hold and push that energy. And in doing the whole body, it taught me how to move energy through myself. And I was able to utilize this knowledge in my practice, which was extremely beneficial for clearing out stagnant energy in my clients that I would run into while massaging them. And ironically, a lot of the stagnant energy points and the pain points that people are experiencing in their physical body were tied to meridians. So when I started doing EFT, I had this knowledge and understanding that yes, you can work on the end points of the meridians, but if you have all these blockages, you're going to run into a traffic jam because yes, you may have the route from point A to B, but if your GSP or you know GPS, wow, dyslexia, GPS is not showing that there's an accident, it hasn't updated, you're going to come into contact with a traffic jam. You're not going to be able to move, you're not going to be able to go anywhere, and it's not going to be able to truly help you until that block is removed. You're not going to go anywhere. So when I did the EFT tapping, I noticed that I could feel where these other blocks are. So I would make a note and then I would go in and clear these meridians. And then I would also ask, are there any other additional pairs that I need to clear in conjunction with this emotion? Because I created a bunch of different scripts that align with the EFT practice. And all of those videos are available on YouTube. I wanted to make them available. The order in which I posted them is how I went through them. And what I found is I would do the EFT tapping once, and then I would go in and do the energy healing to clear it up. And once I did that, I was able to go through the EFT tapping with no problem because my brain would short out, I would get overstimulated. And the process that I found with EFT tapping is you need to balance the body. I describe all of this in my placement video. I'm going to have that linked in the description below if you'd like to go check that out, because there were 3 different positions, hand positions, that I found were necessary in order to get true optimal flow energetically and to really help reprogram the disconnection that was it within myself. So I was able to take it a step further because I was able to combine my knowledge of polarity work, how the body works, and just being an energy intuitive. I was really able to create a map of this. And what I found was The EFT tapping regimens that people have do not follow the natural flow of what was created by Gary Craig. And again, maybe it's just a clickbait thing. I'm not really sure. But I also have some theories that the way they're doing their EFT tapping is actually backwards from what is encouraged. And that may be a way to actually really program new ways of thinking. But if until you clear out those old blockages tied to those old thought forms, you're not going to have the response that you desire. It's going to take longer. And it's also going to be a small, quick fix, and you might fall back into old ways of thinking. Because I did a lot of mindset work. I did the scripting, I did all that stuff, and it worked for a time being, but it didn't keep me from falling back into old ways of thinking. And I call it a mental relapse. And it, in the long run, it was a learning experience. So when I went into the EFT tapping, I had that understanding that I need to get the root cause cleared. It's like when you pull a weed, if you don't get the root out, it's just going to sprout up again like that. You need to get the root. And so a lot of people, when I see this EFT tapping, especially when it comes to just a quick little preview video, I haven't taken any of their courses. They might go into deeper detail. But for me, I wanted to figure it out, and I did, so I'm sharing it with you. So when you go through the EFT tapping, I'd encourage to start by getting through these 3 hand placements. So the words resonate, truly resonate. Your brain is able to stay coherent. That way, you know that emotion is no longer dysregulating you. If you can make it through the entire 3 different hand positions, that means you're ready to move on to the next emotion, or you are then ready to follow the tapping that everyone else does, which is, I find, backwards, where you can truly put more positive thought forms back into your body. Because once your body has been cleared, you have to view it as a neutral ground. You can either fill it with a lot of amazing, I'm just picturing a plot of land. You can plant new plants, you can water it, watch it grow, because the land is fertile. You've done the work, you've tilled, you've told, you've mulched, you've done all this stuff to really make it juicy, really good soil. So when you do plant stuff, it's going to take. And you're also very coherent with the landscape in which you have been working with, which will support you. And when I say landscape, that's knowing your traumas, knowing what meridians were blocked, and you've done the work to really cleanse and clear that out. And so your land, your mindset is fertile to impregnate it with a new way of being. And that's where the backwards tapping, which I see a lot of people do, because I didn't want to discredit them. Something wasn't working. So I had to go figure that out. And I did. I believe I did. So when you do the EFT tapping, you want to clear out that land, because you want to make sure you have fertile mental space. So you have to clear out the blockages. And I did EFT tapping 1 day a week. And then I would do the energy healing, allow myself to process, because when you listen to these magnetic energy healing frequencies, each of the frequencies correlates to a meridian, and it correlates to every single acupuncture point in that meridian. So you're getting a full flush. And let me tell you, that can be some powerful work. And I had also started implementing a new way of utilizing the meridian system in conjunction with the seasons. And I teach you how to do that in the course. And I give you a lot of demos as well as scan sheets, because I teach you how to scan, how to implement muscle testing. And there are many ways you can find online, but I received a download, a specific way on how to body scan, which I found to be the most potent. I guess would be the word. And so that's available to you in that course. So I teach you how to scan so you know exactly what meridians to utilize. Very similar to the chiropractor. He knew what, spine, what part of my spinal column needed to be adjusted, what area is weak. That's what you find out when you're doing this. Because what I found with just doing healing in conjunction to doing the whole flush of the entire meridian system, while that was great, I still wasn't getting the full resolve that I wanted. And the reason for that was I wasn't working with the meridian system in its entirety. And I'm going to share more about that in a different video and the shifts that I made in conjunctions to the seasons, because that is absolutely crucial. So that's going to be in another video. But I just want to wrap this up because EFT, I believe, is a powerful modality if you understand the mechanisms. And number one, it's based in Chinese medicine. It's based on the acupuncture points, and there are 365 points. And I believe EFT only covers 9, maybe 10, maybe 12. I believe 11 was the max. And in my mind, I was just like, this isn't enough. Again, because of everything I shared with you and the blocks and how they form, especially depending on how long you've had those mental blocks and where they stem from. You may be working with a lot of different points that need to be cleared. And if you are someone who does run into that and you do want more energetic flow and ease and release, not only emotionally but physically, because again, a lot of the pain points, physical pain points I saw in my clients were actually due to blocked meridian channels. And if you are wanting just a tool to support you, not only in having better results with your EFT practice, but just to have something to support you through the seasonal shifts, the Meridian Support Magnet Therapy Energy Healing course is the one for you. Because when I would do the EFT practice, I wouldn't get through to the resolve that I was desiring, because I could feel when my body was at ease, when I'd worked through the emotion that I was cleansing and clearing. It wasn't fully resolved until I cleared all energetic points that were tied to it. And I was able to do that through the energy healing frequencies that are available in that course. When it comes to EFT tapping, please make sure that you are doing the proper hand placements to start. You want to make sure that the script that you are devising really resonates with you. And it also goes through all of the points. Again, in all of my videos, I'm just going to tag the EFT playlist. You can go through all these videos. I talk about all of it. It gives you the full description so you can really understand it and my process so you can start implementing it today. And it's something that I just want you to have available, because I believe that self-care comes from the perseverance of doing the work within ourselves. Because like any intimate romantic relationship, how does it get better? By spending time one on one, being earnest in your desire to wanting to understand that person, even if there's differences, having a desire to discover new things so you guys have a better communication. And when it comes to the body, trying different modalities is how you expand that communication. Taking that time to sit with your body, asking it, what are these emotions? How do I work through it? This is uncomfortable, and that's why I love implementing energy healing. Because yes, when you're clearing out energetic blockages, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's like forcing out, okay, I'm not going to use that analogy. Okay, I'm going to use the analogy. It's like if you haven't taken a dump in 3 days and you're trying to force it out, like it's either going to come crashing out, you're going to feel good, or you're going to be stuck there in a bit of agony and pain trying to, push it out. I hope it's not the latter for people. And I just hope people are regular. And if you're someone who loves to be regular like me, I encourage having an energetic practice to help move this stuff out, because we encounter stress daily. It's unavoidable. So accepting stress as a part of your life and making a game plan on how to navigate and work with it is what's going to serve you best moving forward, especially as we continue to evolve as a society, because we're going through a lot of amazing changes. But I want you to be, again, mentally fertile to move with this change, to really be open to these new energy exchanges that are going to be happening. And if you are energetically stuck in old mental thought forms, you're going to be caught in the past, which may not serve and may hinder you. And I'm just picturing someone carrying a big bag of rocks. It's just going to weigh you down. And I don't know about you, but after I started moving out of chronic pain, because I had chronic pain my whole life until I was 30, and I realized I I shouldn't have had that pain as a child. And I realized there's many reasons why that was. But when I started coming out of it, like, and knowing it was possible to maintain and uh, support my body being pain free, it was so encouraging. So that's another reason why I'm sharing this, because I know that when you're in pain, you can't be your best self. And having an energetic healing practice has been so crucial in really clearing out that stuff, because I have mentally gone through the ringer with this stuff and caught myself in a loop. But it wasn't until I had this amazing therapist who was based in somatic practices who's like, you need to learn to stop these things when they're in happening in the moment, and utilizing somatic practices or kinesthetic practices that get you in your body is how you do that. And for me, magnet pair therapy is the most amazing somatic experience that complements other practices like EFT, because it allows you to fully receive. You're just laying there receiving while you're listening to the frequencies. It's like one of the most feminine styles of healing. And I realize that because you're literally just sitting there receiving information. You're receiving what's going on in your body. You are cognizant and you're aware, but you're completely passive, which is perfect because in a lot of these modalities, you're moving your body, and because a lot of your mechanical mechanisms have been formed around unhealthy thought patterns, laying there and allowing your body to receive and heal is how you're actually going to have better results in feeling better and releasing those muscles. And because you're fully present, your brain function isn't being compromised by having to do other things, which I found would happen when you were going through EFT or any practice, any new practice. You're using your mental facilities, and with the magnet pair therapy frequencies, you're just laying back and receiving. So nice. The overview of my EFT experience. Was it amazing? When I got to the end of it, yes. But there's a lot that I needed to uncover because there's not a lot of people who are really going into the depth of it. And do they truly understand it? I don't know. Again, I didn't take their courses. They may expand on it. And if you feel called to take someone's course, go for it. But if you're someone like me who loves the course of self-discovery, I have basically a whole course free here on this channel that you can utilize. I have, again, videos that you can follow with the prompts that you can use for your EFT tapping. I have a whole playlist that goes into detail on what I learned, why I do what I do, and it's something that you can utilize now for free. And if you find that you do run into those blockages and you do want assistance, and you also just want a tool that can support you time and time again, because it's a one-time purchase and you can use it literally the rest of your life to support you in clearing out stagnation within your energy system. I mean, that makes me excited because I love a good uh, I love quality, and I love it at a good price. I mean, who doesn't love that? So that is available. All of those resources are available to you. And that was the conclusion of my experience using EFT.